White. Chairman
Yes,
Clifton.
here.
Here. Before we move on, we have lost a very good longtime friend of ours, a very good longtime planning commissioner this past week. And if y'all would join with me in a moment of silent prayer for our friend James Dietz. Thank you. Appreciate that. We'll move right on into our administrative part of our meeting. Item numbers 4, 5, and 9 are postponed. That is for a conditional use for electric fence at 2901 Highway 161 to allow electric fence at 5950 Commerce Cove, and to postpone a daycare center at 4210 East Broadway. So if you are here for either one of those items, they will not be heard today. So we will move on into our approval of the minutes. You have been submitted a copy of the minutes of our previous meetings. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, they be approved as submitted. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We'll move right into our Planning Commission items. Our city engineer has a scheduling conflict that he has to be at another meeting, and he has requested that we be able to move item number 8, rezone case number 2022-10 to be heard first. Are there any objections to that?
None.
Okay, if not, we will move right into rezone case number 2022-10 to rezone from conservation zoning classification to the proposed R4 zoning classification to allow for a multifamily development at 2700 River Road. Would the applicant please come up and give us your name?
I'm John Pownell with Thomas Engineering Company. I'm representing the applicant, and the applicant is also here too if you have any questions that I can't answer. Well, we'd like to rezone this property from conservation to, like you said, multifamily. We have submitted a real preliminary sketch on some duplexes type development down there, and we feel like it's in line with other developments up and down the river there. We have across the street there, we have the Esplanade, which is a little bit higher rise type of development than this. And down the street, we have a Rockwater Village. And then around the roundabout there at Riverside, at the River Road, or Rockwater Boulevard, and what was that name of that road down there? But anyway, at the roundabout there, there's also some R4 zoning there. It's on the river, just similar to this. So we think we're keeping in contact or in the same type of developments that are happening all up and down the river. So we feel like this is an appropriate type of zoning for this area.
Okay, thank you. The proposal that is being proposed here, will it be along the same lines as the development that y'all have built back up in town?
This developer has built the View, which is a little bit higher rise type of development. Right now, the proposal is just for some one-story type developments, maybe some maybe duplexes or something along that line.
Okay. At this time, let me ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak against this project. Okay, any of the commissioners, any comments? Mr. Chambers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My hometown experienced a 100-year flood 3 times within 40 years. 2 of them were back to back. And I don't see myself supporting any development between River Road and the Arkansas River as long as I'm sitting here. So I would kick it on over to City Council and let them assume the liability of putting residential uses in harm's way. It'd be the same as if you asked me to rezone property below a dam. I wouldn't do it. So I cannot see any need for this development. There's plenty of land to develop, and I'm absolutely certain no for this particular proposal.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chambers. Any other comments from any of the other commissioners? Mr. Harris?
Just like, would like to ask the gentleman, have you been in contact with the Corps of Engineers about the flooding or
No,
any
sir.
surveys, anything?
No, sir, we haven't been in contact with the Corps yet. There's no reason to unless this property is rezoned. It is under the 100-year flood. It's in the 100-year floodplain, although it's in an area that can be filled above that 100-year flood, which is what we'd have to do to develop this. And it's out of the what floodway. The floodway, if you're familiar with it, is an area on the river that you can't fill in at all. It's outside the floodway, so we're not even close to that area that's in the floodway. So we do know we have to do some fill on this site. We'll also probably do some investigation, make sure there's no wetlands and things like that the Corps would be interested in. But at this time, we have not done that because it's zone conservation.
This, any other comments from any of the commissioners?
You're welcome.
Right now, this is just the first step to start in to do the investigations that you're speaking about and that you asked about, Mr. Harris, is what my understanding of this is. And I remember back, it's probably 10 or 15 years ago, but it seems like it's 5 years ago that we had some consultants come in and try to analyze North Little Rock and our downtown area and things like that about what projection to go forth maybe on development. And one of the things that I remember most about that was develop our riverfront. And it seems to me like that this is in accordance with what was recommended, and I don't think we ever took any official action on that. We probably just filed it and put it away in file with future thoughts of it. Is whenever I saw this coming up, that jumped back to my mind back then. It looks to me like that we are, 8 years down the road from the last rezoning of this, and now somebody's come back 8 years later trying to develop it. It looks to me like if the logistics of flooding and the core problems and all the mountains of steps that they'll have to do to go through to get this done, it looks to me like it would be a good project to have in North Little Rock. These developers have built a great apartment complex down here, and I wouldn't think that they wouldn't build something just as nice somewhere else. So I didn't know if someone had thought about that. Generette, wasn't that the name of it?
It was probably about 10 years ago. It was the yeah, it was something like that. And they didn't really go out this far. It was, sort of downtown. And, and they were saying, develop, parks and that kind of stuff along the river there, which is what we did. But it didn't really cover all the way going this way at that time.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so-
you.
Mr. Chairman, you're absolutely
Mr.
correct.
Foster.
It was about 10 years ago. I cannot remember the name of it. I think you're close to it, but I do remember their credentials. And they were the lead city planner that planned Seaside down in Florida, which has been very successful, and a couple of those other communities along there. And the scope of their work was more centrally concentrated in the downtown area, but in some of the discussions, fringe discussions that did go along the river, and you're correct, they did emphasize that, you know, riverfront development is essential. So you're correct, sir.
One thing I'd like to mention, if I could, if I have your permission, the, this development here kind of be the last kind of development that could happen on the river. If you go upriver a little ways, you know, we're getting into the Burns Park area, we're getting into the River Trail. We got City Park up there, got Emerald Park. So this is really kind of the last area that can be developed. So we do have some open lands, if you want to call it, up there that the public can enjoy. Of course, on this property here, we have the River Trail that will kind of follow along the bank of the river, so that'll still be there for people to enjoy. And also, you know, if you look on this picture here, you look right across the river there, and you have, in Little Rock, you have development right up against the river, and you can't see it, but if you go upriver a little bit farther, you have other developments along there, and these are residential type developments, very nice residential type developments. So we're not asking for something that's not already being done on our side of the river and on the other side of the river.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Give us your name for the record, please.
My name is Doug Meyer, thank you. In respect to your flood safety issue, we would have to build this, the finished floor is 2 foot above the 100-year flood elevation, wouldn't we? Same as Esplanade or anywhere else in?
I don't want to speak for the city engineer, but he said yes.
So it would be the same elevation, finished floor as Rockwater, as Esplanade, as anywhere else. So we wouldn't build below that. So from a safety standpoint, we would abide by FEMA's guidelines on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from anyone? Any comments from any of the commissioners? Mr. Chambers?
I urge the city council to immediately negotiate to buy the property. That's my comment.
Okay. Okay, on the Vandy, did you?
No.
Okay, on the application, please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Velasco,
Yes.
Chambers,
No.
Foster,
Yes.
Phillips. Wallace,
Yes.
White,
Yep.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes. Your application did pass. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you what your next step would be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll
Thank
go
you,
back
guys.
on our agenda now. Item number 1, subdivision, Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Development Review Committee met and considered item SD 22-13, Central Arkansas I-440 Business Park, Lot 8R, site plan review for a warehouse with office space at 1000 Fiber Optic Drive. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 9 in subsections, and the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, this application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application? Yes, sir, please come up.
Harvey Beach, applicant for the record. Last time we were here, you all gave me some homework to go speak to the 2 city council members in regards to the waiver for the asphalt as well as moving the trees. I have a copy of the letter. I have spoken with Mrs. Robinson for the last couple, 2 or 3 days, and she has told me that she called and spoke to someone. Okay, so she is, I do not have her signature. I do not have her signature, but she promises me that I'm going to have a signature tomorrow on this letter. Where do I need to bring it to? Or who?
The planning office.
Oh, just over there? Okay, all right, well then I will see you guys tomorrow. Beyond that, I'm good if everybody else is good.
Thank you. Any other comments from anyone on this application? Let's continue. We'll just keep calling the roll on these. Please call the roll on the application as presented.
White.
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Phillips. Foster.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Belasco.
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes, your application did pass. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you where to go next. Thank you. Next item, item number 2 is subdivision case number 2022-14. Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Development Review Committee met and considered item SD 22-14, Come and Go subdivision, Lot 2R in Spring Hill Development, Block 3, Lot 6R, replat 4300 Stockton Drive. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 8 in the subsections, and the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, please call the roll.
Banks.
Yes.
Belasco.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Phillips. Wallace.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes, your application did pass. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you where to go next. Thank you. Item number 3 on our agenda is a conditional use case number 2022-2 to allow an indoor recreation in a C6 zone at 1112 West 9th Street. Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Please come up. What's your name, please?
Oh, my name is Mark Massa.
I'm sorry.
Mark Massa.
Okay. Briefly tell us what you'd like to do there at that site.
I'm hoping to open up an indoor recreation facility with, to teach people CrossFit classes and personal training, and just to kind of better the community.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Has there been any comments made into the office?
No, no calls.
Okay. You have been,
Andy?
No, it's okay.
oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask hours of operation.
Oh, from
Maybe in here,
from 5 a.m.
5 to 7.
Yeah,
Okay.
to 7
Sorry.
p.m. Yeah.
Okay. You've been submitted a list of conditions that might be placed on this. Do you agree with those?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, please call the roll.
White.
Yes.
Wallace.
Yes.
Phillips. Foster.
Yes.
Yes.
Chambers. Belasco.
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes. Your application did pass. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you where to go next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, number 4, to allow electric fence in an I-2 zone at 2901 Highway 161 has been postponed. It will not be heard. Item number 5, to allow electric fence at 5950 Commerce Cove. It has been postponed and it will not be heard. We'll move right into case number 6, a rezone 2022-8 to amend the land use plan from light industrial to single family and to rezone from C3 to R2 to allow for a single-family house at 1305 North Olive. Is the applicant here? Yes, please come up.
Brandon Easton. My purpose is, this is actually the second lot that I've purchased in that area. My plan is to kind of revitalize the area. As far as the architectural design, kind of wanted to keep it similar to what you see here in the Argenta area, and hopefully this will lead on to other investment into that community.
Okay. Have you had any comments from any of the neighbors?
Just folks that got the notice and wanted to know what was going on, and no opposition.
Okay. Staff recommends approval on this application. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Belasco,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Phillips, Wallace,
Yes.
White.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. White,
Yes.
Clifton.
Yes. Your application did pass. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you where to go next. Thank you. Item number 7, rezone case number 2022-9 to amend the land use plan from single-family to multifamily and to rezone from R3 to R4 to recognize an existing second residential building on the property at 1710 West 18th. Is the applicant here?
Danny Jimenez.
I'm sorry?
Danny Jimenez.
Okay. You have made your application. Has there been anyone call in on this at all, Mr. Rivers?
Again, we've gotten some calls on it, just curious as to what's going on. No one has expressed opposition on the phone.
Okay.
I've also gotten a couple phone calls actually from the neighbors just wanting to kind of explain what's going on, but they didn't seem to have any issue with it.
Okay. Okay. Any comments from anyone in the audience on this application? Yes, sir. Please come up and give us your name, please, for the record.
My name is John Jones.
Yes,
I
sir.
live at 1804 West 18th, a block, half a block from my house,
Yes, sir.
and I have been in there. And I know most likely the house has got asbestos on the outside of the building, and all of the plumbing is really in bad shape.
Mr. Jones, those issues will have to be taken up with the code people. So do you oppose or
Like it won't,
you oppose this use?
you know, because
Sir, give me your address, please.
18,
Yeah, go ahead and come on up here. Go ahead and come on to the microphone. Give us your name and your address.
my name is John Jones. I live at 1804 West 18th Street here in North Little Rock. I'm just, I don't mind anybody moving in. I just want it to be safe for whoever move in. Because I've seen what the previous owner has done. And I just don't want that to happen to anybody else.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from anyone?
So we,
Yes, ma'am. Please come up and give us your name.
Excuse me. Thank you.
My name is Tanisha Patillo, and I live at 1714 West 18th, just next door. And I guess my concern is just, I saw the sign that said it may be used for commercial use, so that was my concern. I just wanted to know what would it be. So a concern, because I have a young family.
Okay.
so right now it's zoned as a single family, and we are, there's a duplex in the back existing, and so we're just zoning it to where we can use the duplex as well, and it'll be a, I'm sorry?
It's not going to be a rehab.
Well, we are remodeling, no, ma'am, no rehab facility.
Okay.
No, ma'am, it'll be residential.
Okay. Mr. Spencer, will this not take a R3 zone? It has to go to an R4 for this?
R3 is duplex, so this will be the third unit on the property. So that would jump it up to the next level.
Young lady, to answer your question, it cannot be used as commercial. Okay, any other comments from anyone?
Well, for Mr. John that spoke earlier, we are going to be repairing anything that is wrong with the property. We're new owners. We purchased it from the previous owner, and we're doing a full remodel with plumbers, electricians, everybody, all the professional trades are going to be coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any comments made by the commissioners
Yes, sir.
on the application? Please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Belasco,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Phillips. Wallace,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes.
Yes.
Your application did pass. See Mr. Spencer, and he can tell you where to go next. Thank you. Item number 9 is special use case number 2022-1 has been postponed. If you're here for that, it will not be heard. We'll have a public hearing at this time. Item number 2022-3 to revoke a special use at 2018-2, which allowed a mobile home at 7001 Faulkner Lake Road until May the 14th of 21. And that time limit has expired, and it's brought before the Planning Commission here to conduct a public hearing on it. This will be to continue it. Mr. Spencer?
What's before you is to revoke it.
To revoke it.
Yes, so a yes vote would mean that you're agreeing to revoke it, or agreeing with a negative recommendation to city council. So you guys aren't actually revoking it, but you're sending that recommendation to city council for their vote on it.
Okay. Everybody know what we're talking about? Okay, is the applicant here? Okay. Give us your name for the record, please.
Delano Davis.
Okay. Mr. Davis, a little over 3 years ago, you were granted permission to put a mobile home out there on your property with the provision that you remove that in 3 years. And it appears that that has not happened. So this is a public hearing. Do you have something you'd like to say on that?
Yes, sir. The mobile home is, quote, technically not there anymore. I went through FHA, and they gave me a list of things to change it from mobile home to a single-family residence. I did that, upgraded it. If you look on the internet at FHA, it's not listed as mobile home anymore. It's a single-home residence now. I had the paperwork here for it, and
Yeah, Mr. Clifton?
Mr. Spencer?
It's, the zoning would be for a single-family stick-built house. So that building was not built from scratch. So it doesn't fall under, it would still be a mobile home in our definitions.
Right. You might be referring to a solid foundation.
I'm not sure. I just knew what the FHA had told me to.
Yeah, okay. Well, what Mr. Spencer is explaining, even though there have been some various changes obviously made, as you're saying there, but it is still considered for our zoning regulations as a stick-built, one-family house. So that cannot happen with what's there now. So at this point, you're in violation of the city ordinance, and there will be penalties for that, and I don't know what those are. But at this point, unless this vote goes to leave your mobile home there, then you'll have to move it. And a yes vote for us is to move the mobile home.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Chambers?
Yes, sir. Are you living there?
Yes, sir, I am.
It is your home?
Yes, sir.
You receive mail there and everything?
Everything.
Okay. And we agreed to allow a mobile home there.
Yes.
And this is, you're saying, a mobile home.
In the minutes, he had implied that he was gonna build a house there.
Okay.
And he was gonna live in the mobile home.
That's correct.
Okay, so basically, he's in violation because he is living in a mobile home rather than a house, a stick-built house?
There's a mobile home on the property, and it's not zoned.
Granted a special use
Yeah.
for the mobile home there
Right.
in order for time to build his house.
Oh, okay. Time-limited special use to build your home. Didn't do it, time ran out. Yes, sir? I'm not the chairman. but-
Oh, yes, sir.
Ms. Belasco?
I know somewhat about this because I work for a title company. And I know the FHA regulations are to remove the tongue and the wheels and permanently attach to a foundation. And it can thereby then be FHA approved for a loan. It is considered improvements. The tax bills are changed. I don't know where that puts us with denying it or forcing him to remove it. And I don't know that those things have been done, but I do know that among other regulations, if he's done those things, canceled the title, you have to forfeit the title.
For the title.
So it thereby then becomes real property, no longer personal property.
Okay.
So again, I don't know where that puts the city, but that's some of the, not much, I don't know much, but I do know those things.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Belasco. Mr. Foster?
As a clarification, what I'm understanding Mr. Spencer and staff to say here is, although he has done these tasks that meets the criteria of FHA, it still does not meet the criteria of our zoning ordinance. Is that right?
Correct.
So therefore, he's still in violation.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Chambers?
Basically, there's a conflict between the two, okay? FHA says it's a house because he did the following things. Our zoning ordinance says it's not a house, it's still a trailer. It's a conflict. I personally cannot vote to take away someone's house they're living in. That just doesn't sit right with me.
Do you know if anybody has been out there to check and make sure that's,
Can I give you, I have it all right here, sir, if you would like. I'm sorry.
Hold on
He
just a
has
second.
evidence.
okay.
Mr. Banks?
So the limitation that expired May 14, 2021, is my understanding that apparently you came in and request for a temporary use of that property until that date because you were gonna, if I'm understanding what you're all saying, build a home.
Yes, sir.
So now, I assume what you're saying now is those plans have changed.
Due to COVID and lumber supplies and contractors and stuff, I wasn't able.
Okay,
to
so
do it.
so you decided not to build a home, if you will, and you living in the trailer, if you will, mobile home rather, and you've modified it to comply with what FHA would call a livable home.
Yes, sir.
But then on the zoning side, it doesn't comply with the city ordinance. So the type of structure that he has, is it, and what we're saying is, it's not allowed on this piece of property for this use?
There's
So would he-
two
would he- Could he
things.
just change
Yeah.
the use of the property and?
Yes, so it's zoned for a stick-built house.
Right.
So that we have that issue, and also he went to city council, this was approved based on him building a house. He was gonna build a stick-built house, which he didn't do, didn't start. Now, this is.
Is that the picture there?
No, this is something he built without a permit at all. So you know, we've got issues of building things without permits and stuff. So anything he did, again, I don't know if he did electrical work on the mobile home or something, but we didn't get any permits.
So what's this we're looking at here?
This is a shed that's in the back, and, you know, all that was built without a permit. So there's been no inspections or anything on
Now,
that.
this is my last thing I would like to say. The mobile home quote is not even in the city of North Little Rock. The only thing that's in the city of North Little Rock is my shed right there that I bricked in.
So it's zoned, so we treat zoning that's outside the city limits the same as inside the city limits. There's no difference. It's still, we're able to go 2 miles outside the city limits with zoning, and in most places we do. So because there's a city limit line going through the property, makes no difference to zoning. It's the same rules.
1 acre's in the city limits and the other 11 acres are in the county. Yes, sir.
But we have jurisdiction over that area
Yes, sir.
there too.
Yes, sir.
But let me ask you this, Sean. How can we help this gentleman?
Okay.
I mean, what do we need to do? I mean, I think whatever we recommend has to go to city council, but how can we help this gentleman?
So at the moment, we can't really, because the notice that was done to the neighbors was to revoke the special use. So, I mean, he has the right to come back and apply for another special use for an extension. Or, I mean, we're not supposed to give a special use to an existing building, so that, we can't do it that. So he could rezone it to a mobile home park with one mobile home on it. We could do it that way. But we can't do that now. So right now, the question before you is, he didn't meet the regulations. We need to revoke it to send it to city council so they can revoke it. But he can also come in and apply again for some, we'd have to get with city attorney. I'm not sure if you can extend a special use when it's been this long. I mean, it's been a year or 8 months. Yeah, so, or rezone it to, mobile home park and go there. But we received complaints from the neighbors who pointed this out to us.
How many neighbors?
Mr. Banks, if you don't mind, let me hold your question. I think there may be someone here that wants to speak, and it might bear
Mr.
on
Chairman?
your question.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Mr.
sir,
Chairman,
Mr.
it's
White.
Steve White.
Yes, sir.
All right. I've been sitting here listening to back and forth. The agreement 3 years ago was that he could live in the manufactured home or mobile home for 3 years while he built that. So he violated that agreement. So unless the city attorney tells me I'm wrong on this, we're debating something that has nothing to do with what's on the floor today. What we're debating is whether we're going to vote yes and reject it, where he has to move it off. As Sean says, not only did we violate this agreement, and we did it in good faith, because if I remember correctly, we were going to give him 2 years and then we went to 3. He remodeled everything without permits, which, as Sean said, that's against the rules. I can't do that to my house and ask for forgiveness. So I think where we're debating and we're listening to all this, we're debating the wrong thing. If he wants to come back, and I'll tell you right off the bat, I don't want a mobile home park, and neither does the neighbors want a mobile home park. So even if there's going to be one mobile home, So in my opinion, I call for the question and call for the vote because he's in violation. And unless city attorney again says that he's not, then whether it's a house or stick built, our rules are our rules. And we got to stick to those rules. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but he made an agreement with the city of North Little Rock and then he violated it. And he continues to violate it because he didn't get permits. So I call for the question to vote on this to rescind it and vote yes. And then let them get with the city council and then they can decide what to do from here to here. But we're a recommending board and he's in violation. The question is, do we think he should be able to stay out there or not is not in question. Because I would be more like Mr. Chambers. I don't want to kick anybody out of their house. But a violation is a violation. So I call for the question to vote.
Thank you,
Because
Mr.
we're debating.
Thank you, Mr. White, but there's a question on the floor from one of our commissioners that would like to get asked. Go ahead, Mr. Banks. Go ahead did you still want to ask your question, Mr. Banks?
I guess my question was, I guess I don't have a question, I'm sorry. My question is not necessarily toward it probably doesn't have anything to do with it because we need to just, like it's been stated, we just need to deal with the recommendation on the table and just vote on that. The other stuff doesn't have anything to do with anything, so I'm sorry. So
Thank you,
disregard
Mr.
my
Banks.
question.
Sorry I disrupted your train of
Yeah,
thought.
it messed up my whole train of thought.
Chambers?
Yes,
Knock him off his block.
Mr. Chairman, point of information. I was recently reviewing Robert's Rules of Order for another committee that I'm in chairman of, and it requires a 2/3 vote of the body to call a question. So
Yes,
someone's going to say, call a question, and then we vote, and we have to have 2/3 of us agree to end debate. It's a due process thing. It's not we don't want to talk about this anymore because one person doesn't want to talk about it. Is that correct, Ms. Lee? I mean, do you know?
Yes, you are correct on that, but I just didn't know that we needed to be exactly that formal here with a public
Well,
hearing.
we have a citizen that wants to speak. Mr. Banks
Exactly
wanted to
right.
speak.
That's why
I
I
still want
didn't
to
call
speak,
for the
so.
question after he did, because we had questions on the floor, Mr. Chambers. That's the
Very good.
reason. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, this is Steve again.
Yes, sir,
May I
Mr.
ask,
White.
may I ask, the reason I'm calling for a question is we're not debating the issue. We're debating everything but the issue. That's the reason I'm calling. Everybody can talk all day on whether it should be there or it should not be there, but he's in violation of our agreement with him. So that's the reason I called for a question. It wasn't so I didn't have to hear anybody else, because I could stay here all night. But the point is, we're debating something that doesn't pertain. And I think the city attorney will agree with me that they're in violation. And
But Mr. White, we're in a public hearing right now.
Yes,
This
sir.
is what this is,
I
a
understand.
public hearing. And I don't
But it's
believe that
public
we can
hearing on
call
whether
the
we
question
should
on a
rescind.
public hearing.
okay, whatever y'all want to do is fine with me. Let's just debate the issue.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Give
Thank
us your
you.
name.
Tony Baker.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, to answer Mr. Davis's question first, I'm representing myself and 4 other neighbors, okay? Not just myself. Some of them work, one's had a stroke, and the other 3 are at work. So.
Your
they-
address, ma'am? Address?
7300 Faulkner Lake Road.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, and then Mr. Spencer, I believe, said that about a mobile home. You know, back about 15 years ago, all mobile homes were removed from Rose City that were on property out Faulkner Lake, Lynch Drive, and there were, per the city, there were not to be any more mobile homes moved in that area. And this is how this all started, because he got electric posts put in by the electric people and moved a mobile home in. Y'all didn't know anything about it till after the fact. Okay, then that's how we ended up here. And so he asked, you know, if he could leave it on there until he built his home. Y'all gave him 2 years, and I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I should have said, 2 years, fine. I said no, because I believed he was going to do what he said he was going to do. So I said, give him 3 years. Well, 3 years was up, it'll be 4 years pretty soon. And what he's gone and done, I didn't find out till last week. The mobile home is there, and he blocked it in and painted it white. I'm sure you got a picture somewhere up here on it, okay? But, you know, and in that meeting also, he had used my neighbor's property, 2 houses across the street from me. It's like one house, another brick house, and then his is on the other side of the fence, his mobile home. And anyhow, he had used their property, not asking them to gain access, and just went ahead and moved this mobile home, these 2 sections in, and put it up. Well, in that meeting, he promised them, because he had tore up their property, that he was going to take care of that weekend. He had someone down there working with some heavy equipment. Well, it has not been done today, okay, still. And there have been fences up that are civil issues now that they're going to have to go about in a civil way because they're not on the property line.
Okay,
And-
Ms. Baker, I think we have the understanding of what's going on out there, I do. If someone wants to continue with any more public comments on this, and if do you feel like you stated your case to what this is?
Right, because, you know, he assured us money was not a problem. He was going to build that home right there, and 2 years was going to be enough. And then he said, oh, yeah, 3, I'll be done, and that mobile home will be out of here. During that period of time, he also moved in, what was it, some kind of RV for your dad to live in for many months.
Okay, I think we've got the idea of what this is. Thank you, Ms.
Oh,
Baker.
and it's been for sale. The sign, they took the sign down maybe today. It's matter.
Okay.
Did you list
Okay,
it as a
thank
mobile
you.
home structure?
Thank you.
Just don't do that, yeah.
Okay, any other comments made by the commissioners? One more comment, yes, sir. Come to the podium.
The house is not block, it's brick. And if I'm instructed to move it, I'm gonna move a house. That's why it's brick. It's not no blocks. It's not blocks. It's been re-bricked with FHA, reappraised, and because I'm tired of out there, dude, I'm ready to go. And I got offered $385,000 for it. So it's a headache out there. It's a bunch of mess. It's a mess. It's mess.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. Any other comments from commissioners? Any other comments from anyone else? We'll close the public hearing. And we need a motion to vote on here, do we not?
Other gentleman wants to
You said you were going to close the public hearing. We still going to get additional comment?
Yes, sir. Okay, we need a motion from someone on this, being that was a public hearing. Somebody make a motion that the special use be revoked from May 14th of 21.
This is Steve White, so moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded that the special use be revoked as of May 14, 21. Okay? All right, on the application, please call the roll.
White. White.
Yes.
Wallace. Phillips. Foster.
Yes.
Chambers.
No.
Velasco.
No.
Banks.
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes. Your application,
5, approved.
yes. The application was approved to revoke the special use. So you have other options. I don't know, Ms. Lee, would he be allowed to go to the city council now to address that, being how this was a public hearing?
This is a recommendation.
This was a regular motion voted on here on the council during session, so I would assume that he would.
Yeah, our goal was to follow the process. So
Right.
public hearing here, he'll have a public hearing at city council.
Okay.
And again, to make his argument at city council,
Yes.
that type of thing. And like I said, you come in and apply for a rezoning or something like that. So we're not, no one's commenting on that. It's just right now, there was a date on the ordinance and we're voting on what to do on, to enforce that.
And it's not ironic that my property is, if you look at my paperwork, who you own my property?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay, number 9 was postponed. Number 10, we've heard. Number 11, Mr. Chambers.
Number 11 is a request of SD 2020-33 to allow one-time, one-year extension for preliminary plat and site plan review for apartments at 20 Esplanade Circle, as shown on the map.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, please call the roll.
Banks,
Yes.
Velasco,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Foster,
Abstain.
Phillips, Wallace,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes. Your application did pass. We'll move into our next portion of our meeting, a public comment section. Yes, sir. Do you have a public comment? Give us your name, please.
William Wilmot. I don't know if this is the proper venue, but we have a shanty house on West 18th at 1212 West 18th. And there's a porta potty on the side of the street that, I guess the gentleman living there is using that and then they empty it. But it looks like something from a third world country. It's nice enough, but not for, a zoned neighborhood. So I didn't know if this would be the place to bring it up for somebody to take a look at that.
You would need to call code enforcement, that type of thing. We're more zoning and that type of issues.
Okay.
But code enforcement will go out and then they'll take a look, and then if there's some structural issue or something, they'll call one of the inspectors to come in. But we'll relay it, but you also would need a call.
Okay.
Just call them tomorrow, and then we'll let them know too, so they'll get a double phone
Okay.
call.
Thank you, that's all I had.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Wilmot. Any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Aye.